Hello and welcome to this special urgent broadcast in regards to the situation in Gaza, to the genocide that is happening right now in Gaza. I will read the documents, the legal documents that was submitted by the South Africa uh, in regards to this genocide to the International Court of Justice in Hague. So, but I will also comment along the way for the things that they didn't mention or things that I think are very important for you to know. All right. So if you see that my gaze goes a little bit down, it's because I have my tablet and laptop here, so I can read from it because I don't want to paraphrase anything of those things. So because I do believe it is very important to deliver them verbatim or how to say it in the best possible way. So let me just check if everything goes as yeah. All right. So application in sorry. Yeah. So application instituting proceedings to the Register of the International Court of Justice, the undersigned being duly authorized by the government of the Republic of South Africa, state as follows. In accordance with the Articles 36.1 and 40 of the Statutes of the Court and Article 38 of the Rules of the Court, I have the honor to submit this application instituting proceedings in the name of the Republic of South Africa, against the State of Israel, pursuant to Article 41 of the statute. The application includes a request that the court indicate provisional measures to protect the rights invoked herein from imminent and irreparable loss. All right. So I have not marked everything. It's a lot of legal stuff. So yeah, but there are some things I really want to mention. So jurisdiction of the court. Why is this, important? Well, because Israel, the genocidal Zionist entity of Israel, is saying that, well, the proceedings cannot be just, and that even the International Court of Justice will not stop them from this genocide. All right? So let me read the jurisdiction of the court. Why is this court relevant? So South Africa and Israel are both members of the United Nations and therefore bound by the statutes of the court, including Article 36.1, which provides that the court's jurisdiction compromises all matters specifically provided for in treaties and conventions in force. South Africa and Israel are also parties to the Genocide Convention. Israel signed the Genocide Convention on 17th August of 1949 and deposited its instrument of ratification on 9th of March 9th, 1950. Thereby becomes a party when the Genocide Convention entered into force on January 12th, 1951. South Africa deposited its instruments of accession on 10th December 1998. It became applicable between the parties on the 19th day thereafter, pursuant to Article 30 of the Convention. Why is this relevant? So, despite what the Zionist genocidal entity will say, of Israel will say, oh, and by the way, if you are wondering why this is a recording and not a live broadcast, it's because, well, they might drop the broadcast, and I don't want to lose it. So I want to record it and have it as a recording, both on my phone and my laptop and other things I'm using. So I'll be sure that I have access to it and I can re-upload it after they take it down, if they do. And also I can upload it to other platforms that are not under the control of the Zionist entity. All right. So the Zionist entity of Israel is also saying that they will not listen to this decision of the court because, well, of course, they are chosen by God and therefore they can do whatever they want and nobody can stop them and blah, blah, blah. But they have signed the convention. And they will say, oh, but you know what? Hamas, or how they call it, Hamas, have did it too. They have the genocidal intention. Well, even though the killing of 1,000 and a little bit more than that Jews it is a crime. I agree with that. And I personally condemned all crimes, including that one. So that is the fact. But it's so far from the genocide, It's not even 1% of the population, right? So it's so far from the genocide. All right. The second important thing is the Hamas is not a part of this convention against the genocide. Therefore, they are not obligated to follow it, right? If you didn't sign it, you don't follow it. You don't have to because you didn't sign it, right? But Israel is a country and they have signed this convention, meaning they must follow it. All right, going further. 12. South Africa has repeatedly and urgently expressed its concerns and condemnation in respect of Israel's acts and omissions which form the basis of this application. South Africa and other state parties to the Genocide Convention have, in particular, made clear that Israel's actions in Gaza constitute genocide against the Palestinian people. But, by way of example, the president of Algeria, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Cuba, Iran, Turkey, and Venezuela have all described Israel's actions as a genocide. As such, as has the Palestinian president, state officials, and representatives from Bangladesh, Egypt, Honduras, Iraq, Jordan, Libya, Malaysia, Namibia, Pakistan, Syria, and Tunisia have also referred to genocide or the risk thereof in Gaza, as has of states and state officials from non-state parties to the Genocide Convention, including Qatar, Mauritania, speaking on behalf of the Arab group at the 94-98 meeting of the United Nations Security Council on December 8, 2023. Ahead of the United Nations Security Council votes on ceasefire, and its representative stated that the civilians' fatalities in Gaza laid bare the lie that the war is against an armed group. Rather, it is a collective punishment and genocide against the Palestinian people. Citing the extensive destruction of civilian infrastructure and the targeting of United Nations staff members, He stated that the forcible displacement of 85%, 85% of Gaza's people living in dire circumstances represents an effort to eliminate the Palestinian people. So 85% of the people of Gaza have been forcibly displaced from their homes due to this illegal attack by the Zionist entity. All right, so now let's go to the next page. All right, introduction. Since October 7th, 2023, Israel has engaged in a large-scale military assault by land, air, and sea on the Gaza Strip, a narrow strip of land approximately 365 square kilometers, one of the most densely populated places in the world. Gaza, home to approximately 2.3 million people. 2.3 million people. All right? Almost half of them children. Children. Yes, kids. Children. Has been subjected by Israel to what has been described as one of the heaviest conventional bombing campaigns in the history of modern warfare. By October 29th, 2023 alone, it was estimated that 6,000 bombs per week had been dropped on the tiny enclave. In just over 2 months, Israel's military attacks had wreaked more destruction than the Raging of Furious Aleppo between 2012 and 2016, Ukraine's Mariupol, or proportionally the Allied bombing of Germany in World War II. So, in over 2 months, just over 2 months, they have wreaked more destruction than the proportionately than the Allied bombing of Germany in World War II. Okay, destruction wrought by Israel is so extreme that Gaza is now a different color from space. Yes, the level of destruction of Gaza is visible from space, literally from space. You can see it. You can use the satellite imaging and you can see the level of destruction of Gaza. And if you feel that I'm a little bit angry, I'm not a little bit angry. I am furious. Okay? And I will not pretend that I'm not. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Okay? It's a different texture. Okay? As stated by the United Nations Security Council, Secretary General, in a letter dated December 6, 2023, to the President of the United Nations Security Council, of which the United Nations General Assembly took express note in resolution ESIO/22 of 12th of December on the protection of civilians and upholding the legal and humanitarian obligations. Civilians throughout Gaza face grave danger since the start of Israel's military operation. More than 15,000 people have reportedly been killed, over 40% of whom were children. Thousands of them have been injured. More than half of all homes have been destroyed. Some 80% of the population of 2.2 million had been forcibly displaced into increasingly smaller areas. More than 1.1 million people have sought refuge in UNRWA facilities across Gaza, creating overcrowded, undignified, and unhygienic conditions. Others have nowhere to shelter and find themselves on the street. Explosive remnants of war are rendering areas uninhabitable. There's no effective protection of civilians. The healthcare system of Gaza is collapsing. Hospitals have turned into battlegrounds. Only 14 hospitals out of 36 facilities are even partially functional. So we exclude those that are completely destroyed by the Zionist entity of Israel that bombed the hospital, they blew it up, and they said, no, we didn't. Then they said, oh, yes, we're sorry, we lied to you, we said we didn't, but we did. But it was because, well, you know what? There was someone somewhere in the hospital. You know, they said there is a tunnel below it. Where's the proof of that? Where's the proof? Having, if you have ever been in the hospital, you know that you cannot have even a ring on your finger near the MRI machine. And yes, they have shown the pictures of weapons never used, no fingerprints on them, etc. So new weapons near the MRI machine. All right, but the BBC, the news network, who's not very trustworthy, okay, have even called Israel for a liar they are, because they showed the picture with one gun, okay, and then when they welcomed BBC to film all of it, there was two guns. So somebody made a mistake. They added a gun into the area. Nobody could enter because it was closed by the same, criminal organization. Because when Israel is, in fact, when this judgment has been passed that Israel is actually committing a genocide, their military is going to be criminally charged too. So I can legally call them, criminal organization. Okay, so 40 hospitals out of 36 facilities are even partially functional. The two major hospitals in South Gaza are operating at 3 times their bed capacity and are running out of basic supplies and fuel. They're also sheltering thousands of displaced persons under this circumstance. More people will die and treated in the coming days and weeks. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Amid constant bombardment by the Israeli defense forces, which they should not be called that, but okay, I call them kill squads, okay, and without shelter or the essentials to survive, I expect public order to completely break down soon due to the desperate conditions, rendering even limited humanitarian assistance impossible. An even worse situation could unfold including epidemic diseases and increased pressure for mass displacement into neighboring countries. While the delivery of supplies through Rafah continues, quantities are insufficient and have dropped since the pause came to an end. We're simply unable to reach those in need inside Gaza. We're facing a severe risk of collapse of the humanitarian system. The situation is fast deteriorating into a catastrophe with potentially irreversible implications for Palestinians as a whole and for peace and security in the region. Such an outcome must be avoided at all costs. So, and those are not my words. My words are much more harsh than this. This is just the letter from the Secretary General to the President of United Nations Security Council. By the way, Security Council had many meetings in regards to the situation in Gaza. However, the United Nations are incapable of doing anything because of two reasons. So first, United Nations does not have a mechanism; they don't have their own military. Okay, and there's the other one. USA, the country complicit with many genocides around the world, including the one on their own territory, when they committed genocide over the indigenous people, the Native Americans, from whom they still stolen the land and killed a lot of them, around 90 or even more percent of them have been killed by United States of America. So they have used and abused their veto power in the Security Council because they do have veto power as Russia, China, and other powerful countries. Okay, but they are abusing it to support this genocide. Okay, so entry and exit to Gaza has been prohibited since the early 1990s, with Israel operating only two crossing points, Erez for pedestrians and Kerem Shalom for the goods, through which Palestinians in Gaza could access the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, for business, trade, healthcare, and social and family functions. However, Israel imposed a strange blockade. Sorry, and been notified. Okay, very good. However, Israel imposed a stringent blockade of Gaza following Hamas electoral victory in 2006. That was followed by inter-Palestinian violence, declaring the entire territory to be a hostile territory. Existing restrictions on the movement of persons were significantly tightened, with most Palestinians in Gaza being ineligible for permits to travel, leading to prolonged, indefinite separation of many Palestinian families. The few who were eligible to travel did not necessarily receive permits and almost always encountered delays and difficulties in the process. Between 2008 and 2021, the World Health Organization recorded that 839 Palestinians from Gaza had died while waiting for medical permits to leave Gaza for urgent medical treatment. The majority of permits were for day laborers and agricultural traders. primarily to undertake low-skilled work in Israel and on Israel settlements in West Bank. By the way, Israeli settlements in the West Bank are illegal under the United Nations. But again, Israel is above any law, therefore they can do whatever they want and nobody can stop them, right? But, yeah, here's that. All right. Back to the matter at hand. Let me just, yeah, there you go. So, so basically, most permits have been issued for the slaves, for the people who need to work for the occupiers to survive. And for them, here's the permit. You can leave your prison and go and work for us, okay? But you need medical treatment. It's urgent. I don't care. Just die. You know, that's the message of this silenced entity to the Palestinian people. Okay. I'll continue the reading. Between 2007 and 2010, Israel regulated food imports into Gaza in accordance with calories consumed per person to limit the transfer of food to a humanitarian minimum without causing hunger and malnutrition. This let me explain what that means. So they allowed enough food to enter Gaza to be on the bare minimum for survival. So the very minimal food was allowed to enter Gaza, so just so that they will not be called that they're starving the people, you know. And they even had, I don't have them on right here. I can show you, but I have read the articles of the Israeli media saying that they are putting the Gazans on diet. That's the words they use. They're putting them on diet. So they're decreasing the food they will eat. And of course, USA say, good job, no problem, just keep doing it, right? Israel thereafter applied a dual-use system to imports into Gaza, severely restricting the entry of goods by prohibiting a good considered to be capable of having a dual civilian military use. So let me tell you, maybe you don't know, maybe you are not well versed in weapon production or something like that. So there are things like, for example, some things used in agricultural business um, that can be used in weaponry in different ways. They can be modified, that can and they can cause explosions, and they can be used as a weapon for weapon production. Some of some of the agricultural things that are used regularly for the food and all that to um, to enhance the nutrition of the earth so that they can have more food, um, can be even used as a chemical weapons. And that's the fact. All right. But nobody says you cannot have that. No, nowhere on the earth they say that, right? You can go to an agricultural store in your country, in your city, and you can buy a thing that with a significant changes can be used as a chemical weapon. That's just how it is, right? But Israel says, you know what? Yes, it's used for the agricultural things, for the food, but it can be used as a weapon. And we cannot have that, can we? Right? We cannot have that. So they banned that. Okay. Um, let's go further. So as I said, I will not be just reading it. I will also explain things because there's a lot of technical terms, a lot of legal terms, a lot of things that are, not very understandable to the, most of the population. So there's that. So the commission found that there were reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli snipers intentionally shot children, knowing them to be children, and also intentionally shot health workers and journalists despite seeing that they were clearly marked as such. So, uh, under the humanitarian laws and the laws of war and warfare and all of that, um, the press are required to wear the clear, mark that they are red. Red. The members of the Red Crescent and Red Cross are also required to wear those specific kind of uniforms that show to both sides that they are neutral and they are humanitarian, workers. And that is used as a message: do not shoot at them. No matter whose side you're on, they are neutral, so don't shoot at them, right? But Israel don't care about that. They have killed over 100, or 100 journalists who were doing their job because they want only what they allow to be recorded. So basically, when they invite a few journalists to record something for propaganda purposes, right? They allow them, and they guarantee their safety. But if you want to record something they don't want you to see, and they don't want the world to see, well, then you're in danger. Because, well, they can kill you. Despite the fact that you're journalists, wearing the clear uniform with the clear mark that says that you are a press. They don't care. And why? Maybe because they own a lot of press companies, so they know that the international organizations for journalists will not be like, oh, wait a minute, what you're doing, you're killing journalists. That's not nice. No. If you say that, you're anti-Semitic. So if you say anything, about any crime, that even this video, they would say, oh, it's anti-Semitic. Yeah. But I even saw videos of the Jews in traditional Jewish clothes who supported Palestine, who were attacked, hurt, beaten, and spit on by the police and others for support for Palestine, despite the fact that they are Jews. But they're just not Zionists, right? So if you're not Zionist, even if you are Jew, well, then you're anti-Semitic, right? It's all good, we can do whatever we want. We just say if you don't agree with all the crimes we do, you're anti-Semitic, okay? We do a lot of crimes, but you just must say, fine, no problem, okay, just keep doing. You will just close your eyes, just so you will not call us anti-Semitic. So, to be honest, the fact that Germany is on the side of Israel while committing the same acts of genocide as Germany have committed is very interesting to me. This is not part of this. It's things that are happening right now, but are related to this because Germany requested to be a witness or something or other to this proceedings on the side of Israel. So Perhaps Germany has a higher standard for genocide, perhaps the numbers or something. I mean, they are the genocide experts, aren't they? Right? I mean, they committed genocide. That's not a question. So perhaps they are, in fact, genocide experts. So, yeah. Um, but they say, all those crimes that Israel is committing, not genocide. It's not up to our standard. We have seen much worse. So it's not a genocide. Fine, it's fine. And why are they doing that? Because if they stand against the Israel, they know what will happen. The Israel will pull anti-Semitic card, or how the Zionist entity of criminal genocidal uh, state of Israel is calling it, the get out of jail free card. Okay, so if you say something for Germany and you say, oh, this what Israel is doing, it's just terrible. It's a genocide. It's a crime. They're gonna be like, see, you're still anti-Semitic. You are the same as a Hitler. You're this and you're that. And in order to avoid all of that, they couldn't even stand as a bystanders without interfering. They must be on the side of Israel. They must say, oh no, Israel can do whatever they want, because we must stay fine because we don't want to be called. Right? So, the commission found that there were reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli snipers intentionally shot children, knowing them to be children, and also intentionally shot health workers and journalists, despite seeing that they were clearly marked as such. It further found reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli snipers also shot disabled demonstrators intentionally, despite seeing that they have visible disabilities and despite them not presenting an imminent threat. So you have a peaceful protest, and all of a sudden, Israeli sniper starts shooting people. And of course, they will not miss a person they can easily shoot, like a person in a wheelchair, right? I mean, who would miss them? Will they run? No, they will not, because they can't. And you're so wonderful person sitting up there on some building in your cozy space and just looking through that sniper at that disabled person and shooting them, or the children, or the mothers with kids, or babies, or mothers carrying babies, and their babies, because why not, right? I mean, eventually those babies will become Hamas, right? Let's kill them all. That's the message in Israeli media. That's the message. No one is innocent. They are all Hamas. And that's unfortunately the message by some politicians in the government around the world, including USA and UK, who are also very known for committing genocide around the world. And they are like, oh, well, finish them all was the words of one of the. She is a senator in the United States. She said, finish them all, meaning killing all of Gaza, all 2.2 million of people. Finish them all. That was the message of one of the senators of the United States of America. When asked about all those crimes and all that, they say, don't trust Al Jazeera. Trust us. We'll show you the truth, the story we want you to believe. And by recording this video, I am clearly putting a target on myself, but I don't care. Because here's the message. Here's the message. I don't care. I will not watch all of those crimes being committed and pretend that nothing is happening. I will not do it. I will stop you. And you can try to remove this video from YouTube, which you will be punished for if you do that. I promised you that. I will punish you myself. As a spiritual authority, I am. But also, according to the contract that I have. So, yeah. But you will definitely be punished if you try to remove this video from YouTube. I promise you that. Yeah. I know the things that I'm saying in this video might sound anti-Semitic, and I'm not even close to an end. We're on page 9 out of 33 pages that I marked as important. The whole document has 88 pages, so you can find it. I can even link it in the description below so you can find it easily and download it and watch it and read it. So, I personally don't care, because here's the long and short of it. I cannot and will not, as the Holy Father or the Pope and the Patriarch of Christianity, both Russian Patriarch, the Ukrainian Patriarch, the Serbian Patriarch, and all of those, and other spiritual and religious authorities around the world, I will not stand aside. I believe that we who have power are supposed to protect those who cannot protect themselves. And as such, I'll fight for them. And I think that you, all of you who have any kind of spiritual authority, should also do the same. Because, well, the politicians, they're trying to protect their butts. That's the fact. But you should think about your soul and what will happen to it when it leaves your freaking body. Okay. Oh, and by the way, when I mentioned the soul, the Israeli media have commented that many of the criminals, soldiers, who died, just that, have given their soul for something good and this and that. Well, I can confirm that. They have really given their soul, you know, and I will make sure that that soul never comes back to this planet. So, there's that. All right, let's continue. 41. In response to the attacks of October 7, 2023, Israel vowed to crush and eliminate Hamas and to clear out the hostile forces that infiltrated our territory and restore the security. On 7 October 2023, the Israeli Prime Minister declared that the IDF will immediately use all its strength to destroy Hamas's capabilities. We will destroy them and will forcibly avenge this dark day that they have forced on the state of Israel and its citizens. We will avenge. This is a revenge fight. It's not just war. It's a revenge. Both the Israeli president and prime minister have invoked the right of self-defense as justification for Israeli Israel's ongoing military activities in Gaza. The escalation in hostilities between Israel and Hamas, uh, dubbed the Sword of Iron War by Israel, has been referred to in international Western media and commentary as the Israel-Hamas war. So, yeah, we all know what happened. So, a bunch of some countries call them terrorists, some countries call them freedom fighters. For example, Turkey call them freedom fighters. So, but a bunch of people, they are people, right? So came and they took hostages and they killed some Israelis. Okay, that's a crime. I agree with that. That's not a question. And I personally condemn all of that, right? But here's what happened. And that's the difference. I do condemn, I do condemn the Hamas attack. I do. But I also condemn what Israel is doing right now because it's completely disproportionate. They killed a little bit over 1,000 people, and Israel have killed over 45. Over 21,110 Palestinians are reported to have been killed since Israel began its military assault on Gaza. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, at least 70% of whom are believed to be women and children. In addition, estimated 7,780 people, including at least 4,700 women and uh, yeah, that are estimated to be sorry. Yeah. In addition, estimated yeah. So alongside with those, there are more. So those are the confirmed kills, confirmed deaths. But there are 770 people who are, who have been, lethally damaged, hurt, and who could die and will die afterwards. So, all right. Causing seriously bodily and mental harm to Palestinians in Gaza. 51. Over 55,243 Palestinians have been wounded in Israel's military attack on Gaza since 7th of October, the majority of them women and children. Burns and amputations are typical injuries, with an estimated 1,000 children having lost one or both legs. There are reports of Israeli forces using white phosphorus, which is prohibited by the international laws. So the white phosphorus is, again, for those of you who are not very familiar with weaponry, white phosphorus is a very potent type of weaponry that are used in bombs, but it's forbidden by the international law. Despite that, some countries still have it, including USA, Russia, and of course Israel and other countries, because it's very potent. Those bombs, when they explode, they basically unleash the white phosphorus, which is basically a powder that additionally ignites with the oxygen from the air, but also it can also enter the skin, and after you remove the bandages or something, if it is exposed to the oxygen again, it can reignite. So there could be additional harm and destruction, etc. So that's why those white phosphorus bombs are forbidden by the international law. But again, some countries still have it, despite the fact they said they will not use it. So, but they have it. All right. So, um, there are reports of Israeli forces using white phosphorus in densely populated areas in Gaza, as the World Health Organization describes. Even small amounts of white phosphorus can cause deep and severe burns, penetrating even through bone and capable of reigniting after initial treatment. There are no functioning hospitals in the north of Gaza. In particular, such that injured persons are reduced to waiting to die, unable to seek surgery or medical treatment beyond first aid, dying slow, agonizing deaths from their injuries or from a resultant infection. So of course, there are a lot of other issues. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm using this kind of background with the earth spinning around and all of that, it's because this is my message to the world. This is something that cannot be allowed and will not be allowed. And this is my urgent broadcast to all of the earth, to all earth leaders and stuff, asking them what they're doing. Because under the law of this planet, some people might say USA is complicit with this genocide and should face charges because they're complicit, they're providing weaponry and all of that. But I would say that all countries around the world are complicit. All of them. And why? Because they could at least provide, I don't know, air defense systems, S-300, S-200, S-400, other defense systems to Gaza to at least save some lives. So when Russia attacked Ukraine, despite the serious possibility that involvement of NATO and like all those countries could cause the World War III, they decided to send them weapons, a lot of weapons, to train their military, a lot of their military, to send, what's the name of that? Oh, they don't call it their own military, but those are like volunteers who were military and will be military again when they come back, if they come back. But for this time being, they're just volunteers who wanted to help Ukraine. Okay, and all of that. And I agree with that. If a country is attacked, I do agree that other countries should help them. But why is nobody helping Gaza? That's the question. There's Egypt right next. There's Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. But if you are like, oh, those countries are afraid of America. There's Russia, there's China. What are you doing? Are you also afraid of America? So, Russia, you attacked Ukraine, right? And in response to that, USA sent weapons to Ukraine. They did. Like, nobody's questioning that. That's a fact. So, what happened Now, Israel attacked Gaza. They're killing people as nothing, as if they're just nothing. And Russia certainly have enough weapons to send to protect them, or at least air defenses. And according to the international law, it is allowed to send a country that requires a self-defense that's attacked. You're allowed to send them to provide them with military aid. So I don't do that because you're afraid that you will be called anti-Semitic. Yeah. So you are complicit too. All countries in the world who have strong enough military have excess supplies of military aid that they are not using that can help Palestinians to protect themselves. You're all complicit in this genocide. You're all criminals. All right, I'll continue reading. 52. The extreme level of bombardment and the lack of any safe areas are also causing severe mental trauma in the Palestinian population in Gaza. Even before the latest onslaught, Palestinians in Gaza suffered severe trauma from prior attacks. 80% of Palestinian children experiencing high levels of emotional distress, demonstrating bedwetting, 79%, reactive mutism, 59%, and engaging in self-harm, 59%, and suicidal thoughts, 55%. 11 weeks of relentless bombardment, displacement, and loss will necessarily have led to a further increase in those figures, particularly for the estimated tens of thousands of Palestinian children who have lost at least one parent and those who are the sole surviving members of their families. For the families who remain intact or particularly or partially intact, it's about doing everything you can so your child doesn't realize that you have lost control. 54. Alongside its military campaign, Israel has engaged in the dehumanization and cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment of members of Palestinians in Gaza. Large numbers of Palestinian civilians, including children, have reportedly been arrested, blindfolded, forced to undress, and remain outside in the cold weather before being forced on the trucks and taken to unknown locations. Medics and first responders in particular have been reportedly detained by Israeli forces, with many being detained incommunicado at unknown locations. Videos published by Israeli media on Christmas Day appeared to show hundreds of Palestinians rounded up inside Al Yarmouk football stadium in Gaza City, including children, other people, and persons with disabilities, being forced to strip to their underwear in degrading conditions. Many Palestinian detainees who have been released report having been subject to torture and ill treatment, including the deprivation of food, water, shelter, and access to toilets. United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reports video footage showing bruises and burns on the bodies of detainees. Images of mutilated and burnt corpses, alongside videos of armed attacks by Israeli soldiers, billed as exclusive content from the Gaza Strip are reportedly circulated in Israel via social media Telegram channel called 72 Virgins Uncensored. So let me just explain this last part for some of you who didn't understand. So there are some influencers, some I don't know, they would call themselves businessmen. I call them scum, but anyway. um, and I will take care of them eventually. But who have made a business out of filming those harmed people, those people who are suffering, who are going through tremendous, tremendous, terrible conditions, for being stripped, beaten, burned, etc. And they are just filming it, taking pictures of them, like all of that, and distributing it with as an exclusive content. Okay, exclusive content from the Gaza Strip for some money or something, whatever, which is sick. That is sick, and those people should not be on earth at all. To be very honest, they do not deserve. They don't even deserve to die. But you cannot be neither alive or dead. So yeah, at least not for a long time. Okay. 3. Mass 55. Mass explosion from homes and displacement of Palestinians in Gaza. It is estimated that over 1.9 million 1.9 million Palestinians out of Gaza's populations of 2.3 million people, approximately 85% of the population, have been forced from their homes. There's nowhere safe for them to flee to. Those who cannot leave or refuse to be displaced have been killed or are at extreme risk of being killed in their homes. Oh, and by the way, if you're not very aware of this, uh, there are executions in the houses in Gaza where Israeli soldiers are basically rounding the family members in their house and putting them, in line and executing them one after the other. I have seen those videos, so I know them to be true. Unlike when the president or whatever he is of the United States has said that he has seen the videos of beheaded children by the Hamas, which was the lie of Israel, that was later confirmed even in Western media, that was a lie. They said a mistake, but it was a lie. It was meant to basically round up the public against the Palestinians. So the president of the United States said that he had seen those pictures and videos of beheaded babies. Later on, when it was confirmed that it never happened, which is officially confirmed, I see any idiots in the comment section below or reporting me that this is false news, I will, you'll have a lot of issues with me, because it is confirmed by the same media that it was a mistake, they were not beheaded, that was not true. Okay. So, but unlike that, I actually have saw the videos of executions in the houses of Gaza. Some of those videos are also, how to say it? Well, they are in fact evidence in the courts including this one. Um, but anyway, I did had unfortunate opportunity to see them because I don't believe in hiding in the sand. I don't believe in that. So I had to analyze it, confirm the authenticity, and all of that. As a spiritual authority that I am, I believe that I must know um, the truth so I can say it for all to hear it. Deprivation of access to adequate food and water to Palestinians in Gaza, 61. On October 9th, 2023, Israel declared a complete siege on Gaza, allowing no electricity, no food, no water, and no fuel to enter the strip. Although the siege has been partially elevated since then, with some aid trucks being permitted in since October 21st, this remains wholly insufficient and well below the pre-October 2023 average of approximately 500 trucks per day. Moreover, fuel imports permitted since November 21st, 2023, are well below the minimum requirements for essential humanitarian operations, meaning that such limited humanitarian aid as is being allowed in cannot easily be moved around Gaza away from entry points, as the Secretary General have startlingly assessed the level of destruction in Gaza is now so catastrophic that the condition for the effective delivery of humanitarian aid no longer exists. But even if sufficient supplies were permitted into Gaza, intense bombardment and hostilities, Israeli restrictions on movement, fuel shortages, and interrupted communication make it impossible for UN agencies and their partners to reach most of the people in need. So, the Israel is also giving themselves a right to restrict the United Nations agencies. They, well, they know, first of all, they have nuclear weapons, and also they know USA, that also has nuclear weapons, is supporting them. So they can do whatever they want because they have nuclear weapons. But if we actually accept that to be true, that the country can do whatever they want because they have nuclear weapons, then that will be the first goal on the list of all countries in the world. Imagine the world where every country has nuclear weapons, where every single little incident in, alongside the borders of the countries can lead to a nuclear catastrophe. Imagine that world. Well, if we allow the countries that have nuclear weapons to basically say, we have nuclear weapons, we can do whatever we want, you cannot stop us. So if we allow that, then that's what happens. All countries will do whatever they can to have at least one nuclear weapon. And that will be a catastrophe because that will not stop with countries. Imagine terrorist organizations having nuclear weapons. Imagine a little nuclear bomb made by some terrorist organization exploding in the center of Los Angeles, Washington, London, Paris. Imagine that world. Is that the world you want? Because that's the world you're going towards, unfortunately. Anyway, back to the matters at hand. 71. The majority of 1.9 million displaced Palestinians in Gaza are seeking shelters under UNRWA facilities, which primarily consist of schools and tents. These locations are themselves not safe. To date, and despite Israel having been provided with coordinates of all United Nations facilities, Israel has killed hundreds of Palestinian men, women, and children seeking shelter in UNRWA facilities and injured over 1,000. So, UN has facilities in Gaza, right? And if you see bombs dropping all around the world, all around you, well, you will see anything that's at least kind of safe, right? And no countries, no same country would dare bomb, attack, or do something worse to UN facilities. That's just barbaric, right? Because it's the UN, it's the organization of all countries on the earth. I think that's at least the logic of it. I personally am not a very big fan of UN because of the fact that they cannot do anything. They have no control. They can just talk. They became a talk service. They're not doing anything. So they're useless. They're useless. So it's either one of two ways. We can completely dissolve UN or make changes to it so they will actually have mechanisms to prevent disasters. They don't have it right now. Deprivation of adequate medical assistance to Palestinians in Gaza. Almost all above else, Israel's military assault on Gaza has been attack on Gaza's medical healthcare system. Indispensable to the life and survival of the Palestinians in Gaza, Israel has declared an unrelenting war on health system in Gaza, as observed by the United Nations Special Reporter on the right of everyone to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. In a statement issued on December 7th, 2023, United Nations expert noted that the healthcare infrastructure in the Gaza Strip has been completely obliterated, and that we bear witness to shameful war on healthcare workers. She warned that we are in the darkest time for the right to health in our lifetime, and that we have descended into depths from which we must quickly emerge. I don't think there's anything to explain in regards to that. It's just horrible. It's awful. It's I have no words. I have no words. So, but we must continue. And must, I am emotional in regards to this. I do love humans, and I really am sad to see all the damage and destruction and all the deaths, especially the deaths, because I don't care about buildings that much because buildings can be repaired. So if you say, they destroyed this building, in a year or so, that building will be repaired. It doesn't matter. But what cannot be repaired are human lives that are being lost, that were taken unlawfully by the Israel. Okay. Destruction of Palestinian life in Gaza. On November 16, 2023, 15 United Nations special reporters and 21 members of United Nations working groups warning of a genocide in the making in Gaza, observed that the level of destruction that had by then taken place of housing units, as well as hospitals, schools, mosques, bakeries, water pipes, sewage, and electricity networks threatened to make the conditions of Palestinian life in Gaza impossible. As we know, Israel has in its bombing campaign against Gaza, used powerful weaponry with inherently indiscriminate impact, resulting in a colossal death toll and destruction of life-sustaining infrastructure. Israel has destroyed not only individual homes, houses, and whole apartment blocks, it has destroyed entire streets and entire neighborhoods. She I'm not very good with Arabic, so I don't know how. Not very good. I don't know Arabic, so. But I'll try to read this. So, uh, Shiwaya, a suburb of Gaza City, once home to approximately 110,000 Palestinians, appeared now to be a vast wasteland. Sorry, let me just check something. Okay, fine. I had to check something. Appears to be a vast wasteland entirely flattened as far as the eye can see. Its shops, schools, vibrant marketplace, family homes, doctor's clinics, historic streets, and in Atman Mosque, and everything that once sustained Palestinian life there has been damaged or destroyed, along with so many of its people. Other areas in Gaza appear to have experienced a similar level of destruction, including Beit Hanun, Beit Laiha, Gaza Old City, Al Riman, and Nuseirat refugee camp in the 92. Israel has damaged and destroyed an estimated 318 Muslim and Christian religious sites, demolishing the places where Palestinians have worshipped for generations. This includes the Great Omari Mosque, originally a 5th century Byzantine church, an iconic landmark of Gaza's history, architecture, and cultural heritage, and a place of worship by Christians and Muslims for over 1,000 years. Israeli shelling has also damaged the Church of St. Porphyrius, founded in 425 AD and believed to be the third oldest church in the world, alongside two other churches that have sustained direct Israeli fire. Gaza's Christians themselves have been targeted and killed by Israel in a very church compound where they sought shelter. So Israel will say this is a war against Hamas. Some people will say this is a war against um, Islam, Muslims. It has nothing to do with Christians. But as you can see, there were Muslim buildings, but there are also Christian churches that have been destroyed by Israel. And what have the Christian community said about it? I don't know, Russian Patriarch or Roman Catholic Pope? Nothing. Zero. They didn't say anything about it. And why? Because they don't want to be seen as, yes, you're right, anti-Semitic. So, Let's go further. Imposing measures intended to prevent Palestinian births. So, 95. As set out above, Israel's actions are impacting Palestinian women and children in Gaza, especially severely, with 70% of those killed estimated to be women and children. Two mothers are estimated to be killed every hour in Gaza. Over 7,729 children were estimated to have been killed by 11th of December 2023 alone, and at least 4,700 other women and children are reported missing, believed to be buried under the rubble. There are multiple eyewitness accounts of pregnant women being killed by Israeli soldiers, including while trying to access healthcare. 96. Pregnant women and children, including newborn babies, are also particularly impacted by displacement, lack of access to food and water, shelter, clothes, hygiene, and sanitation, and lack of access to health services. These effects are severe and significant. An estimated 5,500 of approximately 52,000 pregnant Palestinian women in Gaza giving birth each month are doing so in unsafe conditions, often with no clean water, much less medical assistance, and shelters in their homes, in the streets amid rubble, or in overwhelming health facilities where sanitation is worsening and the risk of infection and medical complication is on the rise. Where they are able to get to the functioning hospital, pregnant women are having to undergo the reason C-section without anesthetics. So, for those of you who are women and who have, had births, you know how painful that is. And now I just want you to imagine a woman, pregnant woman, who's trying to give birth, to bring another child to this world, to this planet, another life, being shot by an Israeli soldier just for being Palestinian. No other reason. And I also want you to imagine what it looks like to have your stomach cut for C-section without any anesthetics. The expression of genocidal intent against Palestinian people by Israeli state officials and others. We're close to end of what I wanted to mention in this video, so I don't think it will last for too long after this, so just bear with me. So it's, I know it's not nice to hear, but I believe that it is our obligation to share the truth, to talk about this, to talk about Palestine, to react to all the crimes that are committed by Israel. But I want to be very, very, very precise. The Israeli people, Jews, many Jews are against this genocide. There's even a huge organization of Jews for peace that are against this genocide. There are anti-Zionist Jews movements around the world. And there is even, I was so happy to see the video of a young boy who was drafted into Israeli military, who said, "No, I will not participate in this crime." Of course, he was sent to jail by Israeli Zionist entity, but he was sentenced to 30 days and he was returned. Again, he expects that he will be sentenced again, but all of that. Um, but that just shows that not all Jews are criminals. Most of them are good people. So I don't want this video to be used as any kind of excuse for any kind of violence against the Jews. I want to be very, very, very clear about that. I am against hurting any innocent people. However, this doesn't include the military of any country, including Israel. So if you have opportunity to see Israeli soldiers, well, be aware that those are criminals. The same. Okay. So evidence of Israeli state officials' specific intent, dolo specialis, to commit and persist in committing genocidal acts or to fail to prevent them has been significant and overt since October 2023. Those statements of intent were combined with level of killing, maiming, displacement, and destruction on the ground together with the siege evidence an unfolding and continuing genocide. They include statements by the following individuals in the position of highest responsibility: Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, the criminal equal or even worse than Hitler. Monster. I can say that clearly. And if this monster is like, oh, I will send Mossad agents to try and kill you for saying that I am a monster, I invite you to do so. Try and see what will happen to you. So, Prime Minister of Israel. On October 7th, 2023, in television address by the government press office, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised to operate forcefully everywhere. On 13 October 2023, he confirmed that we are striking our enemies with unprecedented might. On 15 October, when Israeli airstrikes had already killed over 2,670 Palestinians, including 724 children, the Prime Minister stated that Israel soldiers understand the scope of the mission and stand ready to defeat the bloodthirsty monsters who have risen against Israel to destroy us. So, I'll keep reading this monster's words later. He's calling the Palestinian people, including babies who are just born, monsters. Just because they're Palestinians. And this is not anti-Semitic. This is, in fact, a message that shows that this monster, Benjamin Netanyahu, who has the name of one of very nice people, if you have ever read the Judeo-Christian Bible. But despite that, this monster is calling all Palestinians monsters who have risen against Israel to destroy us. Okay. In a formal address to the Israeli Knesset, he described the situation as a struggle between the children of light and the children of darkness, between humanity and the law of the jungle. Children of light and children of darkness. Again, stating that Israel are the chosen ones, they are the children of light, while all other nations are the children of darkness. So I'll address that very specifically in very direct words to this monster. Netanyahu, you certainly cannot call yourself a children of light, but you don't have right to call yourself a children of darkness either. You're nothing. And you will know what is a suffering when the justice comes for you. And it will. Because there's not just one court on this planet. There is the highest court up there. And there's us who have both authority and power to make sure that the sentences by the highest court have been executed. So let's continue. A dehumanizing theme to which he returned on various occasions, including on November 3rd in a letter to Israeli soldiers and officers, also published on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The letter asserted that this is the war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. We will not let up our mission until the light overcomes the darkness. The good will defeat the extreme evil that threatens us and the entire world. The Israeli Prime Minister also returned to the theme in his Christmas message, stating that we are facing monsters who murdered children in front of their parents. This is a battle not only of Israel against those barbarians, it's a battle of civilization against barbarism. As Israeli forces prepared their land invasion of Gaza, the Prime Minister invoked the biblical story of total destruction of Amalek by the Israeli, stating, "You must remember what Amalek has done to you," says our Holy Bible, and we do remember. The Prime Minister referred again to Amalek in a letter sent on 3rd November to Israeli soldiers. The relevant biblical passage reads as follows. So now listen to the verse from the Judeo-Christian Bible that this monster, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, is quoting basically in regards to the Palestinians. This is what the Bible says. Now go, attack Amalek, and prescribe all that belongs to him. Spare no one, but kill alike man and woman, infants and sucklings, oxen and sheep, camels and asses. That's the verse from the Bible calling Israelis to commit genocide over Amalek people. They did. Now, this monster is calling for the same thing, which says, kill alike man and woman, infants and sucklings, oxen, sheep, camel, and asses. Basically, everything. Kill all. That's the message. It's a clear genocidal intent by this monster, Netanyahu. President of Israel. On October 12th, 2023, President Isaac Herzog made clear that Israel was not distinguishing between militants and civilians in Gaza, stating in a press conference to foreign media in relation Palestinians in Gaza, or 1 million of whom are children, it is an entire nation out there that is responsible. It is not true This, sorry, it's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved. It's absolutely not true. And we will fight until we break their backbone. So, its entire nation that's responsible. Again, kill them all. On October 15th, echoing the words of Prime Minister Netanyahu, the president told foreign media that we will uproot evil so there will be good for the entire region and the world. And this is a little sick detail. Bear with me for this. The Israeli president is one of many Israelis to have handwritten messages on bombs to be dropped on Gaza. Israel had a campaign in which a lot of politicians, including the president of Israel and Israeli children, have signed the bombs that will be dropped on Gaza to kill children of Gaza. So this just shows how sick this government is. And unfortunately, how indoctrinated some of the Jew children are, that they are signing the bombs that will be dropped on somebody else's children, the children of their age. I think they will bear responsibility for that. Under the karmic laws, they will be punished, despite the fact that they have not dropped the bombs because they have signed them, which was probably the reason why they did that. But anyway. Israeli Minister of Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, in an Israeli Army situation update, advised that Israel was imposing a complete siege on Gaza. No electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we are acting accordingly. He also informed troops on the Gaza border that he had released all the restraints, stating in terms that Gaza won't return to what it was before. We will eliminate everything. If it doesn't take one day, it will take a week. It will take weeks or even months. We will reach all places. He further announced that Israel was moving to a full-scale response and that he had removed every restriction on Israeli forces. So, let's separate this. So, Minister of Defense says no food, no electricity, no water, no fuel. Basically, you stand up against your masters, and as such, we will punish you by depriving you from everything. From electricity, which is essential, from food and water, which is also the essential for human life, and fuel for all other things, including the machinery in the hospitals, etc. So we are depriving you from everything as a punishment because you stand against your masters instead of just being silent and doing what we order you to do. That's what this monster Gallant is saying. I can compare him to Mengele very clearly, but I would offend Mengele if I would compare him with this monster, so I will not do that. So, anyway, despite the fact that Mengele was an awful, awful human being, awful, that's a fact. But this is even worse. So, and what does this mean? He has removed every restriction on Israeli forces. So, when you are a military, you have certain rules. You have a rule book about things you're allowed to do. You're not allowed to rape. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to basically take possession of the items of the country you're invading or something. So there are rules of war, but the minister of defense of Israel is basically saying no restrictions. Do whatever you want. Kill everything, destroy everything, rape, do whatever you want. Just have fun and just kill them all. That's the message. Israel Minister of National Security. On 10th November, Itmar Ben-Gvir clarified that the government's position in a televised address stating, to be clear, when we say that Hamas should be destroyed, it also means those who celebrate, those who support, and those who hand out candy. They are all terrorists and they should also be destroyed. So they don't say just military wing of Hamas. They say all those who celebrate, who support, and those who hand out candy. So if you have a bakery and you have a customer who's Hamas fighter, you didn't know it or you did, doesn't matter, and they come to your bakery to buy bread. You sell them bread, right? That doesn't make you complicit in their crimes. But Minister of National Security says it does. You're now a supporter, and you and your whole family or your children, everything should be killed. That's the message. Israeli Minister of Energy and Infrastructure tweeting on 13 October. Israel Katz stated, all the civilian population in Gaza is ordered to leave immediately. We will win. They will not receive a drop of water or a single battery until they leave the world. He tweeted, humanitarian aid to Gaza, ? No electrical switch will be turned on, no water hydrant will be opened, and no fuel truck will enter until the Israeli abductees are returned home. Humanitarianism for humanitarianism, and no one will preach us morality. So they say no, they will not receive a single drop of water or a single battery until they leave the world. Until they die, basically. Until they leave this planet, they leave the world. So, again, that is a siege of the basic necessities that are required for survival. Minister of Finance, I don't know what the hell is this person doing. It's not his business, but anyway, Minister of Finance, I guess he couldn't hold himself because he's also a monster. So Bezos motive stated, oh God, I have 10% battery. I'll have to make a pause, just a second, and I'll return. Oh, I cannot pause it. Right. Okay. I'll return in a moment. I must put my tablet and laptop on charge. Sorry for this. All right. Let me check if everything's right. Yes, it is. Good. I might cut this part from the video anyway. So let's go back. Israeli Minister of Finance on October 8, 2023, Bezalel Smotrich stated at a meeting of the Israeli cabinet that we need to deal a blow that hasn't been seen in 50 years and take down Gaza. What is he calling for? What kind of blow have not been seen for 50 years? What kind of blow? Well, this level of destruction they're causing right now. Israeli Minister of Heritage on November 1st, uh, Amichai Eliyahu posted on Facebook, the north of the Gaza Strip, more beautiful than ever. Everything is blown up and flattened, simply a pleasure for the eyes. We must talk about the day after. In my mind, we'll hand over lots to all those who fought for Gaza over the years and to those evicted from Gush Katif, a former Israeli settlement. He later argued against humanitarian aid as we wouldn't hand the Nazis humanitarian aid, and there's no such thing as uninvolved civilians in Gaza. So, this person, if I can call him human, I would, but I cannot, but anyway, is saying that the north of Gaza is more beautiful than ever because everything is flattened and blown up. And he says, his words, simply a pleasure for the eyes. Well, I will give you another pleasure for the eyes. Trust me. You will not sleep after that ever again. That's my promise to you. As a spiritual authority that I am, I will personally visit you in your dreams and show you something so terrifying that you will never, ever, ever close your eyes again. You will never forget it. Israeli Minister of Agriculture on 11th November, Avi Ditchner, in a television interview recalled the Nakba of 1948, in which over 80% of the Palestinian population of the new Israeli state was forced or fled their homes, stating that we are now actually rolling out the Gaza Nakba. Deputy Speaker of the Knesset and a member of the Foreign Affairs and Security Committee. On 7th October, Nissim Vitsuri tweeted that now we all have one common goal, erasing Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. Those who are unable will be replaced. Erasing Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. Well, Nissim Vitsuri, there's a lot of things that can be erased from the face of the earth. Just don't forget that you're not all powerful. Just think about Atlantis for a minute. They're a very powerful nation. They ended up underwater. Think about that. And also, think about what will happen to you. Similar statements have been made by Israeli army officials, advisors, and spokespersons, and other engaging with Israeli troops being deployed in Gaza. I can read all of that, but I marked it. To be honest, I did, but I don't know. I don't know if those words even deserve to be read. I don't know. Well, let's do it anyway. Israeli Army Coordinator of Government Activities in the Territories, in a video statement addressed to Hamas and Gaza residents published by official channel, Major General Ghassan Alan warned Hamas became ISIS, and the citizens of Gaza are celebrating instead of being horrified. Human animals are dealt with accordingly. Israel has imposed a total blockade on Gaza. No electricity, no water, just damage. You want it hell, you will get hell. Well, if you want hell, just let me know. Just let me know. Because you might understand who I am or might not. Um, but let's just be clear. I am involved in this genocide. I'm protecting the civilians. Currently at 5% of my real abilities. If I would to do so with 50% of my real abilities, the Israel would be no more. That part of the land would be basically, well, let's say the earth would open and swallow it completely. So, you want hell, you wanted hell, you will get hell. Okay? So you now want hell, right? So what should I do? Should I give you hell? Well, maybe you're right. Those who want hell maybe should see it for themselves. But because hell doesn't exist up there or down there, I'll deliver it to you personally here. Israeli Army Reservist Major General, former head of the Israeli National Security Council and the advisor to the Defense Minister. On 7th October, Giora Egeland, describing the Israeli order to cut off water and electricity to Gaza, wrote in an online journal, "This is what Israel has begun to do. We cut the supply of energy, water, and diesel to the street. But it's not enough. In order to make the siege effective, we have to prevent others from giving assistance to Gaza. The people should be told that they have two choices. They have to stay and to starve or to leave. If if Egypt and other countries prefer that those people will perish in Gaza, this is their choice." On the same day, he asserted in a national newspaper that when you are at war with another country, you don't feed them, you don't provide them electricity or gas or water or anything else. A country can be attacked in a much broader way to bring the country to the brink of dysfunction. This is a necessary outcome of events in Gaza. He repeatedly asserted the benefits for Israel of the creation of humanitarian crisis in Gaza, stating that Israel has no interest in Gaza Strip being rehabilitated, and that this is an important point that needs to be made clear to the Americans, that if we ever want to see hostages alive, the only way is to create severe humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He has indicated that water should be targeted, noting that water in Gaza comes from wells with salt water unfit for consumption. They have water treatment plants. Israel should hit those plants. When the entire world says we have gone insane, this is humanitarian disaster, we will say it's not an end, it's a means. In a Times radio interview on 12th October, he reiterated the army should create, and I quote, set a huge pressure on Gaza, that Gaza will become an area where people cannot live. People cannot live until Hamas is destroyed, which means that Israel not only stops to supply energy, diesel, water, food, as we did in the last 20 years, but we should prevent any possible assistance by others, and to create in Gaza such a terrible, unbearable situation that can last weeks and months. Giora Eland has repeatedly given a media platform to call for Gaza to be made uninhabitable, declaring the State of Israel has no choice but to make Gaza a place that has temporarily or permanently impossible to live in. In an interview on 6 November, he suggested that if there is an intention for a military action at Shifa Hospital, which I think is inescapable, I hope that the head of the CIA got an explanation of why this is necessary and um, why the US must ultimately back even an operation like this, even if there are thousands of bodies of civilians in the streets afterwards. Further, he proposed that Israel needs to create a humanitarian crisis in Gaza, compelling tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands to seek refuge in Egypt or the Gulf. Gaza will become a place where no human being can exist. Echoing the words of President Hassan, he has repeatedly underscored that there should be no distinction between Hamas combatants and Palestinian civilians, saying, "Who are the poor women of Gaza?" Listen to this. These are the words of one huge monster that should be eliminated as soon as possible. But listen to what this person is saying, because this person has real power in the Israeli machine of murder. Who are the poor women of Gaza? They're all the mothers, sisters, or wives of Hamas murderers. On the one hand, they are part of the infrastructure that supports the organization. And on the other hand, if they experience a humanitarian disaster, then it can be assumed that some of Hamas fighters and some junior commanders will begin to understand that a war is futile. The international community warns us of a humanitarian disaster in Gaza and of severe epidemics. We must not shy away from this. As difficult as it might be, after all, um, severe epidemics in the south of the Gaza Strip will bring victory closer. It is precisely its civil collapse that will bring the end of the war closer. When senior Israeli figures say in the media, it's either us or them, we should clarify the question of who is them. They are not only Hamas fighters with weapons, but also all the civilian officials, including hospital administrations and school administrators, and also the entire Gaza population who enthusiastically supported Hamas and cheered on its atrocities on October 7th. So, this person basically says that they should not shy away from, having diseases in Gaza, perhaps even causing some humanitarian catastrophe, because why not? Maybe even some kind of infection, maybe some epidemic. What this look like? This looks like an invite for use of biological weapons against Gaza. As well, it will bring the victory closer, right? No. Israel is going on the path of destruction, but not destruction of Gaza, its own self-destruction. Because, let me be very clear, we will not stand idle and watch. I certainly will not. And, well, there'll be a lot of that if you keep going and if you do what you're doing right now. There'll be a lot of deaths among the Israeli soldiers. because Israeli army soldiers in uniform have filmed on 5th December dancing, chanting, and singing, "May their village burn, may Gaza be erased." And 2 days later, on a separate occasion inside Gaza, on December 7th, dancing and singing and chanting, "We know our motto, there are no uninvolved civilians," and to wipe off the seed of Amalek. For the Gaza to be wiped out, flattened, erased, and crushed on all its inhabitants. 106. Similar genocidal rhetoric is also commonplace in Israel's civil society, with the genocidal messages being routinely broadcast without censure or sanction in Israeli media. There is in the media report call for Gaza to be erased, turned into a slaughterhouse, that the Hamas should not be eliminated, but rather Gaza should be razed, on the repeated claim that there are no innocents, there are no population, there are 2.5 million terrorists. One local official reportedly called for Gaza to be desolate and destroyed, like the Auschwitz Museum, demonstrating the madness of the people who lived there. Former MPs have called for a level of destruction akin to that of Dresden and Hiroshima, asserting that it would be immoral for the Israeli army not to show themselves to be vengeful and cruel in an Israeli news interview. One former MP called for all Palestinians in Gaza to be killed, saying, "I tell you, in Gaza, without exception, they're all terrorists, son of dogs. They must be exterminated, all of them killed. We will flatten Gaza, turn them to dust, and the army will cleanse the area. Then we will start building new areas for us, above all, for our security." 107. Those statements by prominent members of Israeli society, including former parliamentaries and news anchors, constitute a clear, direct, and public incitements to genocide, which has gone unchecked and unpunished by the Israeli authorities. That such sentiments appear to be so widespread and mainstream in Israel's society is a particular concern in circumstances where the soldiers served in Gaza are largely reservists, drawn from and informed by civil society. So, this is what Israel is doing. Now, let me read the last part that I will read, and then I will talk more about this. This is a quite long video. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes long. But to be honest, this type of subject really deserves a long discussion. And I don't know what to say about that. Recognition of Israel's genocidal intent against Palestinians. So, here. Failing to prevent genocide in violation of Article 1. Committing a genocide in violation of Article 3. Conspiring to commit genocide in violation of Article 3. Direct and public incitements to commit genocide in violation of Article 3. Attempt to commit genocide in violation of Article 3. Complicity in genocide in violation of Article 3. G. Failing to punish genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, direct and public incitements to genocide, attempt genocide, and complicity in genocide in violation of Article 1, 3, 4, and 6. Failing to enact the necessary legislation to give effect to the provisions of the Genocide Convention and to provide effective penalties for persons guilty of genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, incitements to genocide, attempted genocide, and complicity in genocide in violation of Article 5, and failing to allow and or directly or indirectly impeding the investigation by competent international bodies or fact-finding missions of genocidal acts committed against Palestinians in Gaza, including those Palestinians removed by Israeli state agents or forced to Israel as a necessary or corollary obligation pursuant to Article 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Relief sought. So this is what the South Africa is asking this court to order Israel to do. The relief sought. While reserving the right to revise, supplement, or amend this application and subject to the presentation to the court of the relevant evidence and legal arguments, South Africa respectfully requests that the court to adjudicate and declare that the Republic of South Africa and the State of Israel each have a duty to act in accordance with their obligations under Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, in relation to the members of the Palestinian group to take all reasonable measures within their power to prevent genocide, and 2. That the State of Israel has breached and continues to breach each obligation under the Genocide Convention, in particular, the obligation provided under Article 1, read in conjunction with Article 2, Article 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3A, 4, 5, and 6, must cease forthwith on any acts and measures in breach of those obligations, including such acts or measures which would be capable of killing or continuing to kill Palestinians or causing a continue to cause serious bodily or mental harm to Palestinians, or deliberately inflicting on their group or continuing to inflict on their group conditions of life calculating to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and fully respect its obligations under the Genocide Convention. In particular, the obligation provided under Article 1, 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3E, 4, 5, and 6. C. Must ensure that persons committing genocide, conspiring to commit genocide, directly and publicly inciting genocide, attempting to commit genocide, and complicit in genocide, contrary to Articles 1, 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3E, are punished by the competent national and or international tribunal as required by the Article 1, 4, 5, and 6. D. To that end, and for the case of those obligations arising under Articles 1, 4, 5, and 6, must collect and preserve evidence and ensure, allow, or not inhibit directly or indirectly the collection of and conservation of evidence of genocidal acts committed against Palestinians in Gaza, including such members of the group displaced from Gaza. E. Must perform the obligations of reparation in the interest of Palestinian victims, including but not limited to allowing the safe and dignified return of forcibly displaced and or subjugated Palestinians to their home, respect to their full human rights, and protection against further discrimination, persecution, and other related acts, and provide for reconstruction of what it has destroyed in Gaza. consistent with the obligation to prevent genocide under Article 1 and F, must offer assistance and guarantees of non-repetition of violation of the Genocide Convention, in particular the obligation provided under Articles 1, 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, 3A, 3E, 4th, 5, and 6th. So that's the whole document. There are some other aspects that I didn't consider to be very important, so I skipped them and etc. But now, as you can see, all the evidence, the arguments are irrefutable. As such, according to the spiritual authority of the earth, the planet called Gaia, and in the name of those who gave me that authority, and in name of rightful rulers of this planet, I now declare State of Israel to be guilty of the charges of committing genocide over Palestinians. The sentence will be delivered very soon. But I also have another message from above to the earth leaders in the countries that are currently not committing genocide. You're all complicit. You're all part of this. Because you can stop Israel. Or even if you cannot stop them, perhaps you can arm Palestinians to protect themselves. Because just like Israel has a right to defend themselves, doesn't Palestinians have a right to defend themselves? When they are attacked, when they are under invasion by the occupying force, Palestinians don't have military. They maybe have police, maybe not even that. So I invite right now the countries that are members of the United Nations and that are especially the permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Stop being complicit with this genocide. Protect Palestinians. Because trust me, Israel will be punished for their crimes. You can trust me on that. But so will everyone who participated. Everyone who could have done something didn't. And I'm looking at Russia. I'm looking at China. I'm looking at Iran. I'm looking at Egypt. Especially Egypt. Egypt is very close. They can easily deliver any kind of protection through to the crossing between Gaza and Egypt. After all, Gaza was the Egypt territory that was taken by Israel. So, but I am not sure that the world leaders will do anything about this. Unfortunately, they like to talk. They like to say, I have heard Lavrov and even Putin and Xi and others talk about how horrible the situation in Gaza is and like this should stop. You have weapons. You can stop it. What? You're afraid of Israel? You're afraid of America? What? America wasn't afraid of you. America is arming Ukraine right now, despite the fact that Ukraine is at war with Russia. They're not afraid of Russia. America is arming Taiwan right now. They're not afraid of China. But China and Russia are obviously afraid of America. Because, well, look, the only country having anything to do with the situation in Israel, the only country protecting Palestinians right now is very poor country of Yemen. The country that probably has enough money and military as one city in Russia or China. Of course, there's Hezbollah, but they are not country. So I cannot count them. But what are you doing? Russia, China, I'm looking at you. You have power to stop this. You're afraid of America? Just say it. Say it. We are weak and we are afraid of Israel and America. Say it like that, if that's the case. But if it's not the case, then stop burying your head in the sand. Stop being complicit in this genocide. Stop it. Because if you don't, you'll also be punished according to the laws of the universe. And there's another message that I have to the whole earth. Humanity, listen. You have your leaders. But if your leaders show that they're incapable of protecting you from themselves, then those leaders don't deserve to be leaders. But if the humanity itself cannot protect itself from itself, then we will be forced to take this planet under our full control. And if we do so, be aware that we will not tolerate any of those crimes that are being committed right now. You cannot buy us, you cannot threaten us, and our decisions are absolute. So, now here's the message for United Nations and other human institutions. Clock is ticking. Clock is ticking. Very soon, we'll have to act if you don't. But you can. You can stop this genocide right now. Especially you, USA, by stop providing weapons. And I know Israel has a lot of videos, a lot of blackmailing things going around. I know all of that. So do I. So those videos will, emerge anyway. So, yeah. So stop providing weapons for Israel's genocide over Palestinians. Remove your vessels from the Middle East unless you want to protect Palestinians. Because what have you done? You basically put the weapons there, your $1 billion worth of military equipment, to say to the countries, don't mess with Israel, because if you do, you will have problems with us. Just like you attacked Yemen. very poor country, who had nothing to do with you. They just said the ships who are coming to Israel will not go. They will not pass. And it is well within the rights because it's within the borders of the countries. So there's a few miles of the country. It's called territory waters. So it is within the rights to decide which ships can pass there and which cannot. So and they did, and they said that they will not attack American and British ships, but you had to protect your masters from the Israel, didn't you? So what have you done? Now American ships cannot pass there, but Russian and China, they can. So enjoy that. And there's a little message for the military, for the Army of United States of America. You believe that you are the strongest, that you can do whatever you want. Let me tell you this. The total level of your military power we can destroy in one day. We can wipe out the whole military of United States in 24 hours or less. Don't play with fire. And also, there's one more message to the people of Palestine and all others affected by this. I'm sorry. Humanity has failed you. Your neighboring countries, your Muslim brothers and sisters have failed you. Christians have failed you. United Nations have failed you. And I'm so sorry for that. But we will not fail you. If we decide to intervene directly, we will not fail you. And I still hope that humanity will get back on track and stop being complicit with this. Because when there was a World War II, some countries didn't want to engage with Germany. They didn't care, basically. Some countries support them for some time. After that, they stopped supporting them anyway. And all of that. But at one moment, countries decide that this is a big evil that must be destroyed. And they did. Well, let me tell you this. This is that moment for Israel. Because this genocide must stop. This genocide will be stopped, one way or another. But it's up to us to make sure that the least amount of people die. And the people who have already died in Palestine, it's staggering. It's awful. Awful. But they're gone. They cannot be returned. But what about those who are alive right now? What will we do about them? We will turn the blind eye to them, pretend nothing is happening, or will we protect them? Will we fight for them? And now a message for all of humanity, for all the people who will hear it. It's up to you to decide. Pick the side. Are you siding with the genocide, or are you there to protect those who cannot protect themselves? Decide now and act accordingly. But be aware of actions and decisions have consequences. And now, before we go, it's almost, oh, sorry. Mm-hmm. Here we are. Yeah. So, before we go, there's another thing I wanted to read. For those of you who are aware with, who know about the situation with the Israel and how everything they have and they have right for everything and all of that. So let me read a sentence to you, because a lot of people nowadays say basically, oh, this is just, it's Israel. If they're doing that to Palestine, it doesn't matter. Who cares about them? It's Muslim world. It's the Middle East. We don't care about that. So let me read. This is a religious text of Jewish people called Midrash, and it states, "Are Joshua of Sichem quoted in means rabbi, Levi's name. He hath declared to his people the power of his works, in giving them the heritage of the nations. Why did the Holy One, the blessed be He, reveal to Israel what He created on the first day and on the second day, etc., so that the nations of the world might not taunt Israel and say to them, surely ye are a nation of robbers." Think of that. But Israel can retort, and do ye not hold yours as spoil? For surely the Caphtorim that came forth out of Caphtor destroyed them and dwelt in their stead. The world and the fullness thereof belongs to God, and when He wished, He gave it to you, and when He wished, He took it from you and gave it to us. Hence it is written, in giving them the heritage of the nations, He hath declared to His people the power of His works. He declared the beginning to them. In the beginning, the God created. So, the word they are actually citing here is Psalm 111, verse 6. He has shown His mighty power to His people and has given them the lands of other nations. Not other nations, other nations, plural, meaning that Israel and Zionists basically believe that the whole planet belongs to them, and that they're just taking parts like ours, but it belongs to them effectively. So I have a question for you. Do you want to be slaves to Zionists, or are you a slave right now? Think about it. Think about it. And before you answer to yourself, think once again. Are you free? And if you are, look at what is happening in Palestine. Judge them in your own heart, because you know it is wrong. I did. I declare the judgment in the name of the rightful rulers of this planet. so can you. Decide in your heart. Be the judge. Is the killing of civilians, women and children, and elderly by Israel, is that something you want to support? And if not, stop it. You can. Alright, so I hope that this video was informative. I do see it's 2.5 hours long, but it was necessary, so sorry for that. Anyway, see you all in my next videos, and yeah, if there's any events in support of Palestine in your country, in your city, feel free to go there and support those people fighting for the right cause. Fighting not for Hamas, fighting for the lives of civilians in Gaza. I don't invite you to support Hamas. I don't support them. I invite you to fight for humanity. So, if there's an event happening in your city, support it. Your government will try to silence it, obviously, because they are slaves of Israel. But they cannot silence you. Support what is right, what you know in your heart is right, and that is very important for you. Never forget that you have right to defend what is right, not what is legal, not what the government says you should protect, but defend what is right. And also, my last message is to the people of Israel. Stop your officials. Because I don't want you to be destroyed. I'll be very, very precise when I say this. So, stop your officials. Protest, fight against it. And if your sons and daughters are called into arms, into military, to kill more of Palestinians, say no. Say no. Protect your souls. Because there is nothing more worthy on this planet than your souls. Not money, not house, not other people's opinion. They will think that you're a traitor or something. No. Protect your souls. That's my last message to you. And yeah, I wish upon all of you peace and happiness as long as you follow the path of justice. I am Yaakov, here in the name of the rightful rulers of the planet called Gaia, that you call Earth. Goodbye.